Welcome back to the Underdog Jets podcast with Wayne Chrebet, a Jets X Factor podcast. And it's therapy time once again, Wayne. The Jets fell in defeat. Two straight games now where they weren't competitive. They were competitive all season, even in losses. Mike White just didn't look right to me. But we'll start with the unfortunate situation in Buffalo with the kid safety, Damar Hamlin. First of all, Wayne, how are you? And what do you think about that situation?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Obviously, a tough thing to talk about. I wasn't watching the game, and someone texted me, kind of what was going on, and just going on social media. Initially, seeing the clip of him standing up and then just collapsing, and then they're talking about administering CPR. It's been 5-10 minutes. It's just like, wow, puts everything in perspective. Um, NFL is a brotherhood, and you feel, for his teammates. But you realize how bad it was just looking at the looks on the faces of his teammates and the players on the other team, guys crying and being consoled, to kind of see how serious it was. I know, they revived him, put him on oxygen. I know he's sedated, but in critical conditions. So, you pray for the family, his friends, his teammates, and you hope he comes out of it. And the thing about it is they used a lot of the time to talk about what a great teammate, great son, great human being he was. Our prayers are with him and his family, and just hope for the best.
Yeah, I've never, watching football for as long as I have, I've never seen a situation like that. I mean, it reminded me, for you hockey fans, old time hockey fans in the 90s, late 90s, Chris Pronger was blocking a shot and took a puck right to the chest where the heart would be. And he started skating away and then just collapsed. And the
Yeah.
same scene unfolded. It wasn't as bad as this one, but it was sort of the same scene where it was trauma to the chest.
Yeah. I mean, there's situations where you can go into a game, break something or sprain something or this and that, but not something like this you can't prepare for, because it's never really happened. This morning I'm texting my wife just saying, now I know how you felt like, waiting to see if you get up after I hear this and that, but you can never think something like this is even possible.
Yeah.
So, just like I said, thankful for the support I had over the years. And I know it's not just Buffalo fans, it's everybody in the world, NFL fans, just humanity, praying for the guy. And like I said, hopefully we get better news every day, and that he's gonna survive, and be all right.
Yeah, it's the one good sign is I was reading an article, I forget who it was, but the ambulance waited. It wasn't a long wait, but they waited for his mom to get
Yeah,
on the ambulance with him,
yeah,
which could be an indication that wasn't worst case scenario. But yeah, hopefully good news comes through.
yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I mean, you take that. I mean, the fact that they had to do CPR on him will just let you know. I mean, just based on that, how bad it is, how bad it could be. And I can't imagine, waiting for the mom to go down there and what's going through her head, and family members. So, like I said, you know, our prayers are with them. And like I said, hopefully, every day we get better and better news, and like I said, he'll be all right.
Yeah, people in the comments are mentioning Higgins. Higgins was the guy who uh, put his shoulder pads down, and he's the guy that hit him. He released a statement. Of course, he feels bad, and
Yeah,
he's rooting for Hamlin. But yeah, good call out with Higgins. If you're the receiver, you're not going to feel great about it. I'll tell you that.
yeah. And another thing is, I know it took a while for the NFL to, you know, cancel the game or postpone the game, whatever it was. People are like, how can you expect these guys to play through this, and that? And there was no way that the Bills or the Bengals or those coaching staff was going to let that game go on. I know they had to do
Yeah.
everything they knew the NFL needed to do to make sure, but they made the right decision. And, like I said, if you're a teammate or a player, how can you even, they blow the whistle. How can you go out there and play and perform when your thoughts and everything on your mind is with Damar and what he's going through? At
Yeah.
that point, football becomes not important. Like you say, you wake up today. I mean, obviously, this is a Jets show, but it's about the Jets. But you're thinking, all right, there's worse things in the world right now than the Jets. Not making the playoffs. Obviously, we're going to talk about it, and it's a tough year. But like I said, what's important right now?
Yeah, and I'm usually a play through everything type guy, but not this. I mean,
Yeah.
no chance. You could not play.
All right.
Someone in
So,
the comments asks if Higgins could get arrested if he killed Hamlin. No.
why would you say that?
Yeah, no chance. It's a sport, and these guys know the risks. Obviously, that this is a rare situation. Absolutely not.
Yeah. No, I mean, how many hits have you seen like that in the last 40, 50, 60 years? It's just like a fraction of a second, fraction of it. I mean, just the odds of it. The fact that it's never really happened before, just the odds of it are, it's astronomical.
Yeah. Thinking about that, it was a regular. He just ducked his head down, and in the shoulder pad, was it the helmet or the shoulder pad that got him in the chest?
I don't know. I just, the medics and first responders and the team physicians and trainers. I mean, just what they did, to bring him back. And I know they're saying, why didn't they get him out of there? I mean, they had to get him, stable before they moved him. But how do they prepare for this?
They can't.
You know what I mean? There's things that happen, and they're bad, but no one, there's no blueprint on how to deal with this and what to expect and what to feel. So I hope I never see this again,
Yeah. Thoughts go out to him. In terms of the Jets, you saw it on Sunday. They came out flat, and I was asked, "Where's the urgency?" a few times, and I don't think it's a matter of urgency. It could be, but that first run with Kenneth Walker, it wasn't even about urgency. It was about overplaying things. The D line overplayed it, and he just cut back and he got around Lawson, the backside edge, and boom, they took off. So I think it was over aggression that Seattle's offensive coordinator just went to school on the Jets D.
Yeah.
And then Mike White just didn't look right to me. I think he's banged up still.
Well, I think, as the year went on, coaches started to figure out some of the defensive tendencies.
Yeah.
Everybody watches films on everybody else on what works. And I joked that, I was just getting ready for the game to put it on, and it was already 7-0. And I was like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And saw the first play was 60 yards. And they'd be I heard them saying themselves that they came out flat, for what was at stake. It's not a good time for that to happen, but they have another game left. It was a successful year, a lot to build on. So the defense is what it is. A lot of young talent against Sauce, 1 catch for 3 yards from Metcalf, the line, so it's a bright future, but I know not a lot of people want to think about that right now.
Yeah, the receivers did nothing, and that's to be expected. I mean, they went to school in the middle of the field, and I thought they should have done more with relying on Reed and Sauce and flooding the middle of the field defensively. The way I describe this defense, it's a vanilla concept, so it's conservative in the overall scheme, but each individual player is very aggressive, like Quincy, Quan, the D lineman. Yeah. So it's intensity and aggression one-on-one with individual players within a vanilla scheme, if that makes sense.
It's got to be a tough feeling too. Part of the defensive woes this last handful of weeks is they can't give up any points. Because we're not scoring any points, no touchdowns in the last 8 corners. So got to be a bad feeling when there's not a lot of room for error, and you just get off the field to grab a drink and sit down, and we go 3 and out, 4 and out continuously. I mean, that's just mentally and physically takes a strain on you. As far as Mike White, I mean, what he had to do to get back on the field, he obviously wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying maybe he was, 50, 60% right. And he tried his best, whether he wanted Zach in there or Scrivener or Flacco. That's the decision they made. I stand by Saleh and the coaching staff that they felt he gave the best chance to win. So I admire Mike White. I don't think he should take any blame for it. I think, like I said, there's a bright future there, but we try to focus on that. But right now we're disappointed as Jet fans.
Jimmy from Seattle says, I was at the game. Why do we not turn the ball over when the defense shows? Why do we not run the ball when the defense shows cover 2, but we'll force feed it against a stacked box? Mike White looked like he was hurt still. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You're asking why do they not do more things? It basically comes down to doing more things at the line of scrimmage with the quarterback. And when you're shuffling quarterbacks all year, this is the other thing. Offensive linemen, they were hurt with the O-line, shuffling. Quarterbacks, they had, for all intents and purposes, 4 different starting quarterbacks this year. If you think about it, with Mike White coming in twice, it's not easy to do. They haven't had that consistency all year. So
this is where we're at. I did my podcast with Lavernius, and I said, I know what the problem is with the quarterbacks. And I said, it's Mike LaFleur. And I stand by that. And I said,
now, do you say that in terms of concepts or development?
Well, that's the thing. I'll get into that. It's just that, you can't blame one person. Obviously the play calling, I said it's, predictable. It's not creative. It's easy to figure out our tendencies. We did have injuries. We had, injuries on the line. But yeah, some calls are questionable. I don't know why he makes them in certain situations. It's tough to have a rookie offensive coordinator, with a young quarterback. And I said, I think, I hate to say it, I want to call someone, the job, but I don't agree with him coming back, with the system he has. I'm not saying he can't be a good offense coordinator. He's a great young mind, but it just didn't sync up with the young quarterbacks we have.
I agree. And here's the other thing too. It ties in with the overall scheme and concept that Saleh envisions. Like with Zach, a lot of it was don't turn the ball over, play safe. We're a defensive team. And I think in today's game, you just can't be that conservative. You have to take what the defense gives you. And if they're daring you to beat them over the top, you have to do that before you can get into your regular flow. And that's the stuff they don't do enough.
Yeah. They were daring us to throw the ball.
Oh, every team does.
Yeah, they're daring us, clog them to middle. But the thing is, you got Mike White out there playing hurt, doing all these things. The teammates love him, the fans love him, coaches love him. And then you got Zach out there missing throws and not being accountable, but he has a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
And wins and losses are most important. So who do you want in there? You're more comfortable when the ball leaves Mike White's hand. All right. It might be a good play, the error is not as great. But when Zach rolls out, you're like, just throw it away or just get rid of it or just run. And it's that uncomfortable as a fan and as a receiver. It's tough, but he's won games. So what do? You can't. You got to go after a veteran guy, I think.
Yeah, it is that time. It hasn't been that time in a long season for the Jets, a veteran quarterback. But again, the conservative attitude offensively as well. It is difficult to develop a quarterback that way.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Andy Reid running this type of offense with Mahomes in his first 2 years?
Mahomes sat out a year.
Yeah, he sat out a year, but even then, the second year, could you imagine trying to develop a guy that way? It's just very difficult.
It's Coach Saleh is a defensive coach. They're saying we should bring in a offensive head coach. Well, Coach Saleh is a coach.
Yeah.
And I like that. He's the guy for the job. I love him being the coach of the Jets. He fits well in New York. Joe Douglas, this is one bad thing, Zach Wilson, which, still the jury's out on him. But most of his draft picks in this year, you get the offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. what might have been the offensive rookie of the year with Breece Hall. So, I mean, the pieces are there, but it's the quarterback. Like you said, can you continue to go through the draft with Darnold and Sanchez and, Zach and whoever else, or do you finally go out and get an established franchise quarterback that you're going to have to pay 20, 30 million a year?
Yeah, it's one of those rare times where I think it's the latter. I think it's the veteran quarterback.
Yeah. Let's go some of these questions.
Yeah.
Someone says, being a fan of this team tears me apart. So sick of losing. Yes. I promise you that, the fans are, and players are, and coaches are, and the whole organization sick of it. And I said, we haven't made the playoffs in 12 years. And I said, I looked it up. I played 11 years. My first 2 years were 4-28, which is
those are tough ones there.
Terrible. I apologize that I tried to do my best in those years, but I made the playoffs 4 times in those other 9 years. I can't imagine maybe going the equivalent of that time and not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I understand what the fans are going through. Days is ever better. I know that they pay good money, and a lot of them live and die with this team. And I appreciate that. So I just hope they hang in there and we go into another offseason. We don't have a high draft pick, which is the problem with winning enough and not making the playoffs. But I understand what you're saying, Jet fans. But we kind of got spoiled because we didn't expect much.
Yes.
And then we had a chance.
Yeah. And then AVT. I keep going back to AVT. Losing AVT and Breece that same game was such a crusher.
Right. Always say,
here we go.
Right.
You got one?
You guys see the thing? Yeah, we talked about that.
Chrebet,
Ryan Shazier and his thoughts. Having on the
yeah, that was a scary one too. Absolutely.
Yeah, like how it's just weird. Like you said, you see guys stay down, and what happened to him is terrible. And I'm glad he's walking now, stuff like that. But yeah,
and it's unexpected too. You don't expect that type of issue.
Yeah, I was at the game. Dennis Bird, got paralyzed. Yeah. Again, something the medical staff did a tremendous job at. For the Jets and the opposing team when Dennis Bird got paralyzed. Again, like you said, how do you prepare?
No, you don't.
As a teammate, a family member, stuff like that. Like I said, it's just the more we talk about it, the more this is like, I can't believe I'm scrolling and refreshing just to get updates.
Did you say you were at the Bird game?
No, I was just reading.
Oh, the commenter.
Someone said they were there.
Gotcha.
Comparable,
Look at this one. Chrebet, please tell how Parcells would tell you to not be fooled. Expect more. I don't know. Now compare him to Saleh, patting himself on the back. I guess just compare Parcells to Saleh a bit.
So if it's trauma to the chest, why are athletes collapsing in multiple sports, especially soccer? Yeah, it's getting hit in that perfect spot when your heart's beating a certain way. And like I said, man, it just doesn't happen. But, that's the reason, the kids in football and in baseball, with line drives are wearing, in soccer, when they're young now, they're wearing these chest plates. Like I said, it's scary. I mean, I got a kid that plays college football, and I got a 11-year-old that plays sports. And it's your biggest fear that something like this can happen. And you take every precaution, but it did happen. And just say you're just grateful to not have gone through that, but someone is going through that right now. Some family is going through that, and like you said, your prayers have to be with them.
And that last commenter, look up Chris Pronger. 1998, same thing happened with him, puck hitting him in the chest, trauma to the heart.
Here, Paul Lefkowski, I'm a 40-year-old Jet fan. Some of my best memories are of number 80 giving everything he had for me and the rest of us fans every Sunday. Forever grateful to you and so glad you're healthy. Yeah, people ask me about my health. I have good days and bad days. Obviously, I had 13 concussions that were documented. So I went through it. And like I said, I thank my wife. The night that the last game I got my concussion, and then they got me in the locker room. I remember they pulled my wife's car up right by the locker room, and they had like a sheet up, and they got me in the car and sent me home. And it was just me, her, and my young son, and she was pregnant. And it was like, today I was like, I understand like how scared you must have been, that I wasn't going to wake up, or, or I was this, or how I was going to be the next day. I'm like, I apologize for ever putting you through that. And specifically that night, but they always joke like, she hit her eyes like just to see if I was going to get up. And I said, listen, I'll always get up. And I told the Jets trainers, I said, don't ever bring that card out for me. I'm getting off the field. But just being down for those couple of minutes, it's just a scary thing.
Let me ask you this. Did you understand back then as well, but your competitive spirit just didn't allow you to? Or is it completely different now in terms of understanding what she went through?
No, I mean, it's weird. I understood it, but like just reading the tweet, they're waiting to get his mom and family down to the ambulance. I was like, I don't know. I just felt the need to just tell her, I appreciate, I said, obviously you take care of me more than I take care of you. But that day just kind of like comes back and thinking how scary it must have been. Just that whole day and the whole night and making it through the night to the next day. Like I said, I'm just thankful that she and my family were there for me.
What was your quote? They retired you before you left the building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woke up the next day and, I said, what happened? Saw the play. And I said, is that it? She said, you're done. And I said, I don't have a choice. And she's like, no, the doctors don't want to be responsible for, permanent brain damage. And that's it. And I never went back.
Mm-hmm.
I never went back to the complex. They boxed up my locker and mailed it to me. And it took me a long time to kind of get back to where I wanted to be and, living a good life again.
Let's go with this one, Jacob Finnegan. Wayne, can you talk about Braxton Berrios' struggles?
Yeah. Obviously, we had a bit greater expectations for him. Obviously, he did too. We just never had that big return this year. And I noticed a lot of punts was hitting the ground, getting down inside the 5. Obviously, we're taught to stand on the 10, not go back. But seemed like ones were bouncing that haven't been bouncing in the past and, setting up a long field. I don't think they used him enough in the offense. But yeah, he had some struggles. But he's the kind of player that can bounce back.
This one keeps popping up. Maybe Rodgers, but that contract is not doable. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he's up there in years, but still one of the best. Some of his throws amaze me. Another name thrown out there is Derek Carr.
Yes, that's the big one.
He got benched. Still young, great arm, great football IQ. Be a lot less expensive. So he's a name. Obviously, the biggest name is Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Would he fit in the system? Listen, Lamar Jackson is a very unique player. The closest thing to him is Michael Vick. So if you ever got a guy like that, you're going to pay him, but you're going to win. You're instantly a contender if you get a guy like that.
Now, Zach played well on those few occasions when he was free to play loose, get out of the pocket and do his thing. It seems like LaFleur wants to force him to play a certain way, and that doesn't work. It's a combination of a lot of things, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that, here's the thing. When pressure came, Mike White would kind of slide the pocket or step up in the pocket.
Yes.
And, this is why he's hurt. Because he stepped up in the pocket. He took the hit in the chest. He took the hit in the ribs and made a play. When they came on Zach, he just bailed.
Yes.
And a lot of times he tried to reverse field and take a 10, 12-yard sack at an inopportune time, where when he rolls out away from pressure, or they roll him out, designed, I think that's when he make his best throws and best plays. So I would have got him out of the pocket more just to make him more comfortable. So that's part of the scheme, and that's part of him just being comfortable out there.
I agree. And when he scrambles and breaks the pocket, everything he's looking at downfield, it ends. He doesn't keep looking downfield until he gets out of the pocket. Like there's a moment there where he just stops.
think about it. I mean, you see what's going on, and then you're running, and you look. It could be a split second later, and everything changes.
Yeah,
And
I mean, look at Daboll with Daniel Jones. So coaching is a big deal too. Development. Maybe they needed that veteran guy when Greg Knapp went down. That was a tragedy.
yeah.
They brought in Kavanaugh for a little bit. Seemed to work. They didn't bring him back this year. It's just a combination of a lot of things. A lot of it falls on Zach as well because confidence, his emotions. It hasn't worked out so far.
Here's another thing for you guys to understand, and it makes sense. When Zach rolls out, he only has to look at a third of the field, half the field, so he doesn't have to read many more guys. His options are right there. When he steps back in the pocket, he's got the whole field. And his check downs and his progression, all that stuff. That's why he has more success rolling out, because there's less to read. I'm not saying he's not a bright quarterback,
And he could throw on the run.
It's just a little easier when you're out of the pocket. With a shorter quarterback, he doesn't have a 6'5", guys in front of him. So maybe they should have used him more like that. But I'm having a tough time thinking that the starting quarterback for next year's team is on the roster right now.
I agree. Do you have a strong opinion on what to do with Zach, or is it still up in the air?
Listen, all year, most of the year I defended him. And he's young this and that, but I'm seeing a lot of second-year quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence step up and improve and take the next step. Like I said, he's smart, he's talented. Fans don't like, his, kind of like entitled and like doesn't take himself accountable and stuff like that. But he was number 2 pick for a reason. I think that he will be a good NFL quarterback, and you look at Geno and Darnold, they've gone other places and succeeded. So I'm not sure if he's going to be there, but at some point, if he finds the right, place for him, I think he'll do fine.
Yeah, Rich DeBow. That's a hockey name right there, DeBow. That's the problem. He needs to learn to read a defense. At some point, he panics. Yes, he does panic when he's looking at the rush. It's purely, he's inaccurate, yes, but he's not, in terms of talent goes, he's not an inaccurate quarterback. It's everything that leads to it. It's his emotions. It's between the ears.
He's not comfortable.
Yes.
He told everybody he lost confidence. And if you're a teammate or an offensive lineman, or a receiver, what does that make you feel when your quarterback says he's not confident out there?
Yeah. And you see it too.
Leader.
You see it too. Like there's no way to not see it.
John Hepburn, how about Frank Reich as an offensive coordinator? I love Frank Reich, and I've said it, on the TV, on the radio, it's whatever it is. He threw probably the nicest ball I ever caught.
He did throw a nice ball. He really
did. It hit your hand so soft. It was perfect spiral. I played with some really good quarterbacks and some bad ones, but it always stands out. The chance I had to be out there with Frank Reich. I think he did well with the Colts. Definitely, I don't know what he's doing, but he's definitely would be one of my favorite options to be that.
Yeah, I wonder if Saleh and Reich know each other at all. That would be an interesting, good. I forget the commenter, but nice little suggestion there.
Yeah, like I said, I know Saleh has a relationship with LaFleur, and that's got to be a tough situation.
Yes,
and he came out and defended him today. I saw, and I know, not that I disagree with him, but I feel the other way. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to work. Such a young coordinator with a young quarterback, and what if you have a veteran quarterback? Will it work then?
Right.
I'm not sure.
And they have a young quarterbacks coach too, in Calabrese.
Yeah, bring in a quarterback coach.
Bring an advisor. There needs to be. I think that's the number one thing. Whichever quarterback they go with, they have to have the right offensive leadership on the sideline. Quarterback leadership.
Jacob Finnegan, Wayne, you're an effing animal. Don't forget that. Listen, appreciate it. My play was part courage, part stupidity. You know what I mean? I made myself believe I could do things maybe I couldn't, and I paid for that. But I promise you, Jet fans, when people ask me if I would have played any different, I wouldn't have. Or maybe I would have gone out of bounds a couple times. but there wasn't going to be a receiver that dove at the defender's ankles. I ultimately paid for it, but look at the last play of my career. 3rd and 5, I got 6, and it ended that way. Was it going to end any better way? Was I going to be a salary cap casualty? Was I going to get cut? Would I make too much money? If it was going to end, that's how it was going to end. I don't regret it. And if I played any different, I don't think I'd be doing this podcast with you and be getting comments and still seeing so many jerseys at the stadium. So, Jacob, I appreciate the compliment and know I'm thankful.
Get your final comments in, folks, before we wrap it up. Visit JetX Mobile and Apple iTunes. Give us a 5-star review, jetsxfactor.com. Use discount code 80. Get yourself a free 8x10 autographed Wayne Chrebet picture. Gotta mail some more out, actually. You're gonna have to send me more. They're flying still, actually. And we'll do a meet and greet too to wrap up the season, maybe after the Super Bowl, once the Super Bowl ends. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. We haven't done one of those, but to get more personal questions and interaction, I like doing stuff like that. Just trying to see if there's any more.
Wayne bleeds green. Is it true when you bleed, it's not red? It comes out green?
With me?
Yeah.
I always put hashtag I bleed green. I've bled a lot in my life.
Yeah.
So, I bleed green forever. They're my Jets. I might disagree with some things, but my trust is with, Woody and Christopher and Joe Douglas and Coach Saleh.
There we go. Chrebet, Robert McNair. You were never flat in a game. Always gave it your all, the best.
Yeah, man. I was playing for my life out there. I was playing for my family, my teammates, my friends. When you got that kind of support behind you, you feel like 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Please compare Parcells and Saleh. Before Wayne goes, I'll say this. I saw a audio recording from Parcells today. It was 1999. And I don't know if it was the preseason or before week 1, but he was saying things that created urgency. He kept saying, "Oh man, that you guys think you're better than you are. You guys think you're better than you are."
Parcells?
Yes. Yeah. And I think he was a master at that, just creating urgency out of his players.
Yeah. And fear.
Yeah, fear too.
Listen, every year at some point he just cut a veteran and we'd be like, "What? Oh man, like we're not safe." And you're like, when you play with that fear, it's not the worst thing in the world. And he pushed the right buttons, he'd run through a wall for him. But then Coach Saleh, I mean, he's got a huge heart. The players respond to him, great football knowledge. It's kind of like different, like Coach Herm Edwards.
Yes.
Wasn't as like Parcells manipulated you and motivated you, but like Coach Edwards, he motivated you. Like the speeches he gave, the pregame speeches. He's very religious, but he didn't push it on you. Seeing out there, lining up against receivers and stuff like that. Everybody has their different way of leading. Coach Saleh is a great football mind. Like I said, I'm happy he's our coach. I think he's the right guy to lead us to a championship one day.
Yeah, and like perfect example, if a receiver's showing up the quarterback, going crazy like Garrett Wilson did a couple times, Parcells may grab his face mask and scream at him, whereas Saleh may do it behind the scenes. As long as it doesn't continue to happen, it works.
Every coach is different. Every coach I've ever had at any level, not many are the same. And the players respond to Coach Saleh, and that's all you can ask for.
We'll wrap it up on this one. DeBow again, my favorite hockey name. Robbie and Wayne, Mike White has a huge game. If he has a huge game in Miami, do they consider him as QB1, or has that passed no matter what and you bring someone else in?
I don't know. I don't know what he needs to do at this point. Like you said, all options are open going into the offseason, going into next year. I want everybody to succeed. If it's going to happen in New York, I don't know. But Mike White's talented. Zach Wilson's talented, obviously. So if it's not here, like I said, I think they're going to have good careers other places. But like I said, I just want what's best for the team to give them the best chance to win.
Yeah, I like Mike White, but it's too small a sample size.
Yeah,
you can't go in, anointing him as the QB1. You got to have someone else.
So to wrap it up again, prayers with Damar, and his family, friends, and everybody. Hope everybody had a happy New Year. Look out for the like I said, the fan Q&A. I think people will like that, and let's get a win this week coming up, and on a good note.
Yep. Yeah, you could spoil the Finns season here,
Nothing
So
better than that, man. Nothing
hey,
better than that. Small consolation, but it would be great.
exactly. All right, guys. Wayne, until next time, we'll catch you later.